Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
I wanted to start off with the Obama conversation. He was in Pittsburgh. He was in Pittsburgh stomping for Kamala Harris. He gave a speech at a rally, over 30 minutes, longer than her. And it was a crowded, whatever they had it at. It wasn't larger than Trump. But he got into his preacher mode. Did you catch any of it?
He pimped Reverend White, whom he threw under the bus his first run for office. He learned how to be preachy from him. He learned the style. So he was doing Reverend White. And I'm not impressed with either one of them. They have a suntan, but they have absolutely no connection with me. So I evaluate them the same way I would a George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Jerry Ford, Triggy Dick Nixon, LBJ, Ron, Reagan on performance. I mean, I don't even let the color interject because they have no connection with me. So Obama impressed me as a waste of time. I told people when he ran the first time he wasn't going to deliver anything, and he didn't. So 0 from 0 leaves 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. And that's exactly what we have, a 0 talking up a 0. If anything, she's a minus about 9 on a 10 scale. She's incompetent. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She does not have leadership capacity. She screwed her way to the top, and once you get to the top, the interesting thing is there's nobody left to screw. You have to perform.
I was hoping that someone, at least on X, will grab some clips of his speech, because it was literally 44 minutes. And I'm not trying to sit up here and play 44 minutes. Oh, I do have some clips here on his X thing. And by the way, I heard my father in his room. He's watching football now, but I heard my father. That's right. Go ahead, brother. And it's like, okay, so he's still, like you was just talking about with the preacher effect. Black people are still hypnotized with Obama, and some white people too. So I just want to play a couple of his clips, and then I want to ask you a question regarding him and Kamala.
When it comes to health care, you heard it in the debate. Donald Trump's got one answer. Ending the Affordable Care Act that 45 million people rely on. The other day, his running mate, J.D. Vance, had you got to vote. The other day, his running mate had the nerve to say, Donald Trump salvaged the Affordable Care Act. I mean, Donald Trump spent his entire presidency trying to tear it down. And by the way, he couldn't even do that right. And now 8 years after he was elected, when he was asked about what he was going to do, he says he's got concepts of a plan for how he'd replace it. Now, I want you all to think about this for a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment, a project. He says, I need this on Friday. And Friday comes around and he says, oh, did you finish that project I asked for? And he says, well, I actually haven't started, but I have a concept of a plan. Or you could try it at home. Honey, did you do the dishes? I have a concept of a plan to do the dishes. How's that going to go over? If it wouldn't work for you, why in the heck should it work for the President of the United States?
What did he just say?
I was going to say the same thing.
Kamala Harris, she doesn't have concepts for a plan. She has an actual plan to make it better.
Bullshit. Can we stop a second for a little fact check here?
Yeah, that was the end of that one.
Okay, let me do a fact check. Obamacare, which is what is affordable health care is known as, was not a creature of Barack Obama. A Dr. William Frist, Bill Frist, senior Republican senator from the state of Tennessee, whose family founded Blue Cross Blue Shield, et cetera, drafted what became Affordable Care, the Affordable Care Act in 2003. He couldn't get it passed because it was so shaky. Obama's investment firm or trust fund invested in Blue Cross in 2009, and then in 2010 he pushed it because there was a financial gain from it, and it became known as Obamacare. When you read the thing, you find out how atrocious it is. Trump noted it, but said it's best to leave it in place until something better is developed, and he had a concept in mind as to what that was about. That's how it works. He is a businessman. He has managed a lot. Obama lives off of a trust fund that his daddy set up, which makes him one of the richest people around. And he's talking smack. He's talking crap because it is a horrible plan. I have to go through it, and I know what a mess it is. It's not good, and it needs to be replaced by something more equitable, in other words, fair, something more economical, and something that does not give the medical insurance industry a giveaway of billions of dollars in tax money that ought to be spent directly on the taxpayers' health, not the situation with the corporate entity. So, yeah, okay, that's a fact check. He's not responsible. It was a Republican who, by the way, was Senate Majority Leader for the Republican Party when it was finally passed.
Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
A lot of people, after the Affordable Care, people are so gung-ho. Let's just say 2 years into it, a lot of people don't like it, even to this day. They don't like it. I hear more bad reviews than good reviews. So what was presented or marketed to the American people to be, oh my God, affordable healthcare, right? Not free, but affordable, and we can't be rejected no matter of any pre-existing conditions. And I think that was the only thing in there that people can appreciate today. But other than that, I hear so many complaints. What's going on?
Trying to adjust my sound here.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But
even my mother, who she's a senior citizen, she doesn't like it, so a lot of companies laid off a lot of people because people say we don't know what to expect. it was a lot of smoke and mirrors type thing. And when the dust settled, the only thing people appreciated was, okay, I'm not going to get turned down because pre-existing.
That none of them are turning you down for pre-existing. That's just,
or they hike up your rate if you have a pre-existing.
Yeah, well, that's just individual care. Group plans tend not to. The thing is to get group plans, and the cities could be encouraged to expand their group plans that they have for their employees to include ordinary people, which would help things out, and the feds could finance that to great profit. If you read affordable health care, it is a windfall to the medical insurance companies. And by the way, the whole industry is being lied about. It's not the pharmaceutical companies that are raising the prices. It's the medical insurance companies. You get Blue Cross. I remember when I was a judge, it was $146 a month. And for 6.5 years, I didn't get a single benefit. If you go outside of the medical insurance company, I demanded and got Prudential Life Insurance's plan called PruCare. I only paid $28 a month with a $5 copay. That helped out a lot. $28 versus $140 some dollars a month. 130, yeah. I mean, it didn't work out well. And it's a ripoff. You notice stuff that, why is it if you have a 90-day prescription, like one pharmaceutical I have, if you get a 30-day supply, the deductible is $482 for 30 days, or the copay. But if you get a 90-day supply, the copay for the whole 90 days isn't but $19. Why? When you read it, you find out how much money is going to the medical insurance companies.
Yeah. So it's, again, Trump may not have a replacement, but what he does know for sure, there's a lot of cons with the Affordable Care Act.
And
so
Medicare is a fraud the way it's run. They raid the Medicare fund and they want everybody to put in what would be required of them immediately. Now, you would think if you held off on applying for Medicare and you had a group insurance plan, that would be for the benefit of a lot of people. You'd save other taxpayers dollars, right? But that's not what's going on. They want you to put money in the fund so they can rob it for their little special projects. What do you mean by robbing it? Last year, this time, I had a group insurance plan, the deluxe edition, and I paid very little money for it. I paid $1,672 a year, and I paid about $3,500 in copay. I have Medicare now, and it costs me $14,800 a year for Medicare. And so far, I've hit $8,000 at this point in the year in copay for medication. Now, why am I paying 3 times as much for Medicare as I was paying 4 times as much for, 5 times as much for Medicare as I was paying 4.5 times as much for Medicare as I was paying for private group insurance? What's going on here? See, they want me to put that money in so that they can steal it for other programs because the fund is going crazy.
I want to play this next clip. He loves talking about Trump, honey.
What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you, Pennsylvania. I don't understand that.
maybe that's why I don't like the son of a bitch. He can't think like I can.
Because there is absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. You've got the tweets in all caps, the ranting and the raving about crazy conspiracy theories. You got the 2-hour speeches, word salad, just
no, he didn't.
Fidel Castro.
No, he didn't.
Just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who does that? Selling you gold sneakers and $100,000 watch and most recently a Trump Bible. He wants you to buy the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you saw it on Saturday Night Live, you'd say, well, no, that's going too far. No, he's doing that. It's crazy. And the reason he does it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you.
Well, you know what? I went through your administration. You sure as hell didn't act like you thought about us either. You didn't do one goddamn thing except bullshit.
Exactly.
And I made more money under Trump because the tax situation was better. The whole economy was operating better. It was run more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more into principle. So what the hell did you do?